G'day everyone, welcome to Breakout Wednesday for the 22nd of November 2023. It's currently 9:15 p.m. on the West Coast, just after midnight on the East Coast. First of all, remember, this is no financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This is simply a video blog on how one trader sees the market, and everyone needs to take responsibility for their own decisions. Okay, so the market really has the last 5 days just churned sideways. Okay, just consolidating here after a big upswing. Okay, so hopefully that's a good sign, but time will tell. Now I'm just going to rattle through some of this really quickly, some of the stocks from last week that I'm in, that I've been talking about. CDA, it's just base in here still. It did wick up above here. I didn't get caught in that, but I will be adding to this if it comes up and, you know, has a nice decisive powerful move, and just, and I'm happy with that. I'm going to double my position, as I've talked about previously. Still planning on doing that. I've sold a lot of stuff over the last week. FMG, I sold on this gap up here. Okay, kind of had this rising channel. It gapped out of that channel. I kind of like taking my profits when things gap vertically above channels, and we'll see. Maybe this is going to gap down and give us an island reversal up there. We'll wait and see that happens, but I'm pretty happy, in, down here, out here, pretty happy with that, and so that's that. With FMG, C79, I bailed on that today. Likewise, I had this rising wedge and it wicked above it today. I didn't get out on that wick. I didn't quite get there in time, but I got out kind of as it was coming back inside this little rising wedge. Okay, it's not a huge move, but not the worst move in the world either. Okay, after this kind of shitty start, I'm pretty happy to take a nice win on C79. So that one's done. DDR is done as well. Okay, I just got out of my rest of my position here. The one that hasn't, so I've had a pretty good run. The one that hasn't gone well is ACF. Okay, still in it. Let's see how that unfolds over the next week. But obviously at a loss at the moment. And AVGO, okay, huge base here, and this is my biggest position by far. It's had a really good move. Gapped down a bit last night, held it. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, over the next week. I'm not going to sell that anytime soon. It's a big base. Really want to have this move up until kind of in the chart where you can't see it. Okay, we're going to have a crack at a big win on that one. All right, so that's a little rundown. Now, some of the stocks I've already talked about that are base in, and they're still base in. MEI looks like it's going to be playing around for a lot longer before it breaks, but I'm going to keep that on the watch list. And DBI, likewise, slow move. I'm probably not even going to trade that bit. Just huge base, huge resistance, and still just basing away, and I'm going to keep an eye on it. Now, quickly, I'm going to do some scans and show some new stocks. There is a news for Protrader members. There's a brand new scan that's about to be released over the next kind of 7 days. All right, don't quote me on that because it takes time to roll these out, but it's pretty much done. I just want to quickly explain it in case you start seeing it pop up. If you go to pattern events or indicators and events, there is a new little scan that you'll see pop up soon. This one, okay, it's underneath the breakout one. One of the issues with this breakout scan is that sometimes the stocks have already broken out when you're doing the scan. Okay, you do the scan that's already broken out. You think, shit, wish I'd had a scan that found it the day before it broke out. So what we've coded for and programmed is find a stock within any percent. You can make that whatever you want. I've got 3% here, but you can do 1%, 2%, 5%, 10%, whatever you want, within 3% of the last 120-day highs, or you can make that whatever you want. You can make it 200, you can make it 50, you can make it 4, you can make it whatever you want. And you can scan for short and long, and you can do it on weekly or daily data. So you can scan for a 52-week high, for example, but it's going to find stocks within 3% or 1% of a 52-week high, if that makes sense. Okay, so that might be 0.00001% off a 52-week high, or it might be 2.9999999% off a 52-week high. Okay, and so it just will help find stocks before they actually break out. Been back testing a lot. I just want to quickly do the scan. I've got nothing else ticked other than a few basic volume filters. All right, and I want to run through just some findings. Obviously, it finds a lot of stocks and a lot of obviously those pretty pointless ETFs and not ETFs, but you know what I'm saying, that have very tiny price movements. But I just want to quickly show something. One sec. All right, so one stock it's found is AND. Okay, so obviously a breakout scan might not find this yet because it hasn't broken out. Okay, but this is a high. This is its high of the last 120 days, and this stock is sitting within 3% of that high. Okay, therefore it comes up in this scan. All right, so it hasn't broken out yet. It's found us a nice base. That is kind of the perfect. That's kind of what I'm looking for. I know this came up in a high, low scan or maybe a weekly Davis box scan. A lot of the best scans are going to find the same stocks. That's the whole damn point, right? You know, if you've got huge tight bases, and you know the whole point is if you have a software system that's working, there's going to be a bunch of stuff that finds those high tight bases, right? Because they're obviously the best signals, in my opinion, in the market. Full stop, right? So that's one. That same scan found my good old CDA, okay, because CDA, this is the high, the little wicket made the other day is its highest price in the last 120 days, and now it's sitting within 3% of that price, okay. So it's just, it's just showing stocks up near all-time highs that are based in and they're just sitting a little bit off that high price. All right, another one I found is MVF. I've talked about MVF a lot over the years. There was a few years ago that I was riding it. I think it was during this move. It's a choppy stock that likes to kind of fake a little bit, fake outs and have false breakouts and stuff, and loves to fall down to, say, 200-day moving average and start rallying. But it can have some nice moves too if you just have a look back through its history. It's not going to make you rich quickly, but it's a pretty consistent uptrending stock, right? If you just look at its history, okay, there you go. And this came up in this same scan, right? Here is the highest price for the last 120 days, and the stock is sitting within 3% of that high, okay? So it's finding us stocks a bit like a Davis box, but it's finding stocks. A Davis can be quite a wide box, whereas it can find stocks that swing around widely, whereas this is finding stocks within a certain percent of that high based on whatever you put into that parameter. Like you can put whatever you want, 10% if you want wide ones and loose ones, 2% if you only want to find stuff sitting right up that high, and you can make that day whatever you want, okay? The only other one I wanted to talk about in that scan for now is good old Hack, okay? One of my favorite ETFs, obviously. So this is the highest price for the last 120 days, and it's obviously sitting within 3% of that high price, okay? Hasn't broken out yet, it's still sitting below it, that's key. So I think this scan is going to just add a lot of kind of an extra kind of tool, and power to the software system, and it will hopefully help people find stocks that be an extra scan that helps people find stocks before they've broken out, okay? Even though I think we already do that with the Davis scans and high low scans, but this just adds a bit more power to it, and we'll find even more, and we'll just miss less, now the other thing I want to quickly do is a Davis scan. So just my favorite old Davis scan here, because there's one stock on the NASDAQ that I'm just watching pretty carefully, and that's LIAN, okay? It's a little biotech stock. It only did 162,000 yesterday, which is only $672,000. It's sitting in a tight box after this huge gap up. I think it was on a company agreeing to use one of their drugs, but obviously big news, good news, and this company is now cashed up, ready to fire that cash and deploy that cash, okay? And so, but I just like this action. Obviously, you don't need to read the news to know this is good news. The technicals will tell you that. It gaps up on gigantic volume. The volume now drifts down, and we just have a stock that's just basing deadly sideways, and the volume's just completely dried up, right? And so this is super high risk. These little biotech stocks on the NASDAQ's a bit like trading crypto, okay? I've said that before, but it really is. Fake out cities. This could gap up at 4.4 and close at 3.4, okay? And you can have a losing trade within 20 minutes. Like, it's a legit that volatile, this stuff. But the flip side to that is this could run from 434 up to $10, just like that. Okay, it really could. And so I like these explosive setups. I'm not going to put my whole account in it, not that I put my whole account in anything, but AVGO, I have a large percentage of my account in that stock. Okay, whereas I wouldn't do that obviously with LIAN, right? It would be a much smaller position, a high risk. It's because it's a much riskier move. Talking quickly, I mentioned crypto. Obviously, I've never turned my back on crypto. I'm still into it, but talking about it on Breakout Wednesday is it's hard. I am pushed for time, and it is hard to do it properly and do it justice. There has been a bit of a comeback in crypto, in Bitcoin and in Ethereum. They've been breaking out of bases over the last few months, and some of the crypto stocks are also shaping up. Here's Mara on the NASDAQ, a Bitcoin miner, and Riot on the NASDAQ. Okay, and they're all starting to put in bottom action, but if you look at the Bitcoin price, and one sec. For example, here is like a Bitcoin and Ethereum ETF or stock or whatever on the NASDAQ. I'm not sure really if it's an ETF or not. I don't really care, but it's that word and then Bitcoin. And obviously this has been coming up in Dava scans and taking off. So there is obviously no one's really talking about crypto at the moment. It's just under the radar. Everyone got so hurt by it. Not everyone, but a lot of people got so hurt by it that it's painful to think about. It's out of the news. It's out of the media. That's FTX is dead. Sam Bankman-Fried's up the shitter. But while all that's going down, Bitcoin put in a huge base, and it's in an uptrend now. Okay, so I think that's interesting. I'm still a believer long term in that stuff, and we'll see what happens. Take care, everyone. Catch you next week, mate.